And we're live.
Oh. And I'm live too. You know, it's funny. I got sort of I told you about this. I got a Facebook message response. I consider that under the umbrella as an email for the Hacksaw Podcast, where he was kind of mad at us because we didn't like 1917.
Oh yeah, shout out to that guy. I read the message, and I believe it had something to do with you guys didn't like 1917, like as right after we released an episode, specifically like an hour-long episode in full detail about exactly why we didn't like that movie. It was like it's one of those like just read the title and then just send a message.
Yeah,
he's asking us about like David Fincher or something like that.
Right.
I don't. What do you?
Have we ever talked about David Fincher in
No,
anything?
and I don't want to. I don't care. He's boring.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with David Fincher. It's okay.
I generally like his work, but we're not fanboys.
Yeah, it's fine. You know. Yeah, David Fincher's doing something cool.
Sure, because he doesn't do stuff very often.
No.
So whenever he does something like Mindhunter, or
Mindhunter was sweet.
Yeah, Mindhunter was good. House of Cards was good. He's doing pretty well with TV that he's working on.
Yeah, it seems like he found his own there.
But yeah, it was funny. I mean, we got like a response just going, you know, and we appreciate the feedback.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, shout out to that guy. But
I'm sorry.
Just listen to the episode.
Yeah, just listen to the episode. It's all there, man. We talk about it pretty exhaustively.
Like I not only that, but I've mentioned in multiple other episodes my disdain for 1917. Like it's almost like a running gag where I almost mention it every single episode.
Yeah, it was sort of a primordial inspiration for this whole thing that we're doing.
It's great though. I love that. That's like those are the type of messages we get around here. Like I knew like that was gonna be like some of the first messages we get is gonna be something like that.
Did you see the part where he linked to other YouTube reviewers? And
no.
Oh,
I just saw the text that you sent me quoting his message.
Oh, all right. He wanted to keep going a bit further, and I entertained him. I was like, okay, sure. What else you got, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, have you heard of this guy and this YouTube reviewer? These guys who have like, I don't know, like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I'm like, no. He's like, well, they're really good. These guys are my favorite reviewers, and they're much better film reviewers than you are. And I said, okay, that's cool, man. Also, we're not really film reviewers. I mean, we sometimes talk about movies, and
we're just dudes with opinions. This is just like an editorial podcast.
Yeah,
this is just like an editorial thing where we just kind of talk about, you know, maybe we have some unpopular opinions about stuff.
Yeah, that's what we're all about. We're all about unpopular opinions, but we can back them up.
Well, it's just
we're not just talking shit.
Not only that, but it's just for the sake. It's more so just for the sake of having another opinion. Mm-hmm. Anything else, just existing in the ethos. Because when something just gets like nothing but praise all the way through, and everybody just kind of like makes these huge leaps over obvious bullshit, where they just kind of like just swerve out of the way of like literal garbage on fire in the middle of the road, and just be like, it's fine. And just keep on driving. It's just to have some sort of balance to the entire universe here.
Yeah.
You know, have something on the other side of the scale. You know, it may not tip the scale. It may not even register, but it's there.
Yeah.
And I'm fine being that with single grain of sand.
Well, without further ado, I say let's get the ball rolling on this because we got quite a bit to unpack here with one of the longest movies ever made. So
yeah, welcome to the Hacksaw Podcast. I am Everett.
And I'm Jordan.
And today we're going to be talking about the Snyder Cut.
Yes, we're talking about the Snyderific director's cut of Justice League. The 4-hour-long opus.
Man, it's longer than most things.
Yeah. I actually looked up some famously long movies, right? Movies that were from the 20th century, the really long ones that had intermissions and all that. So here's a couple examples of movies that are shorter than the Snyder cut of Justice League. One would be Gone with the Wind. Super long movie.
Yeah, very famously long. When it was on TV, it was like on TV for like 8 hours.
If you bought that on VHS, it'd be on like 4 VHS tapes.
Oh man, it'd be so thick on your shelf.
Gone with the Wind, The Bridge Over the River Kwai, 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Lawrence of Arabia, The Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's insane. And it's important because all of these movies were designed to be these long epics where you have this grandiose opus story that just is too big to be contained in like a short, not short, but just like your normal runtime. And man, the Snyder Cut really needed editing.
I think
it's just a movie without editing. That's all it is. It's just it's because usually when a movie is filmed, it has like 4 hours or so of probably of at least of material, right?
At least, yeah. I'd say dozens of hours at least. But it's the editor's job to go in and cut out all the needless stuff, the stuff that doesn't really help the pacing of the film, doesn't really help the storytelling, doesn't really help develop the characters or any of the reasons why they're doing anything.
You have the director sitting, you have that behind the scenes on the DVD of the director kind of sitting in the editing room, just holding his head like in his hands, and the editor is just going off about how like none of these scenes fit together and we have to cut all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that the term epic has been misconstrued a bit in recent years.
It just means long now.
Now it just means a really long movie. It used to be the case for a film or a piece of fiction to be called epic. It wasn't just because it was long and had tons of characters and lots of things happening. It was more that they had a lot of really big ideas that they wanted to get across, and it takes quite a bit of time in order to do that, right? In a way that people could actually comprehend. So movies like Lawrence of Arabia or Seven Samurai or 2001, yeah, there's a reason why those movies are really long, and it's because they got a lot to say. Whereas something like Justice League here, I don't really know what it's trying to say besides, teamwork is great and it's good to defeat the bad guys. It basically has a message that you could get out of any 20-minute long episode of Sesame Street or Power Rangers or Barney and Friends.
Well, I think that's just indicative of what it is, which is it's a kid's movie. It's a kid's movie made by a child. It's a kid's movie made by a child with some sort of learning disability. He has something about Zack Snyder. When you listen to him talk, he has like a 9-year-old's like and then cadence.
Right.
He's like, and then it happened, and then. He talks like that. Like,
so then there's this guy who comes out, and he's really, really strong.
He's really big and strong, and then he fights all those guys, and then another guy comes out, and he's even stronger.
Yeah, he's really strong, and he punches him a lot, and then he punches him back, but he punches him more. So then he destroys him.
Yeah, and then he
saves the world.
And then you have Jason Momoa, just like he has such a vision for he comes on set, he's like there. He's like on the set. Like when he's working on set, he's like on the set. And when he's like directing, he's like directing people. He's directing the movie. It's just great, Jason. Thank you. Like, please,
Jason Momoa.
You're great, but please, can you just have a protein bar and shut the fuck up? Because this is just, you don't need to be talking.
I loved it when Jason Momoa said in the behind the scenes that he wants to be like Zack Snyder as this aspirational idea. Like, I want to be like him when I grow up.
Yeah.
Like,
well, all of those, all those making ofs in every single film are just like they play it up because you're selling it. It's not just like a hard behind the scenes thing where they're showing like the gritty kind of realistic aspects of making a movie where you show all. It's nothing but the positive stuff. It's nothing but propaganda, really.
Yeah, they do that for every movie. Every movie. Behind the scenes, even if it's just like this mediocre, middle of the road movie.
Yeah, there's always like talking about visions and artistic integrity. It's all this stuff, and they're making like Saw 12.
So when we were filming the film Chappaquiddick, we really had to go out of our way to find the best director. So we chose this guy who directed, I don't know, Double Jeopardy and like some other schlock. And he really knew what to do. He really knew how to bring it for this.
It all has the energy of like that behind the scenes stuff you see in the movie theater before the movie starts. You know, it has like that kind of like every single thing that's coming out is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
you know, and it has to like that's just marketing 101 basic stuff where you just have to do that. And I understand, I get it, but nobody can sell to me that Zack Snyder is not a 10-year-old with a learning disability.
You know, this movie made me reflect on all of Zack Snyder's films, and I just had a moment. Yeah, I just had a moment of reflection on all that. Because there were some movies he directed that I used to think were really good. The first movie I saw by him was, I think, his first major movie, which was the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah, I actually think that maybe in the mid-2000s or so, he had a couple of decent films. Mm-hmm. Like, going back, if you try to watch 300 again now, it's not going to hold up. No. But in 2006... that was the shit. I saw that twice in theaters. I was like 15 or 16. That was amazing, you know, because there wasn't that much out there like that. The market hadn't been completely saturated with slow motion, gory stuff. We were still kind of riding high off The Matrix at that point. Like, The Matrix was still cool.
We also weren't overwhelmed with comic book movies either at that point. So seeing something come out that was supposed to be a film representation of a graphic novel or a comic of some kind was kind of neat. It wasn't something you saw all the time.
And that was really popular. The graphic novel stuff was popular at that time too, because you had Sin City at the same time. And that movie was insane and was really popular. And there was like this era where you could just kind of do stuff like that. And it totally worked. But going back to it now, yeah, no. I will say that the Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder movie, the Dawn of the Dead 2003 or whatever like that.
Came out in 2004.
Yeah. That one still holds up.
Well, I don't know. I watched it again recently.
No, you don't think so? I haven't watched it in like 5 years, but I remember the last time I watched it, I thought it was pretty good.
Well, looking at it now as a 34-year-old, I have some misgivings about it that I didn't really notice when I was, 17 when it came out, because at the time this movie came out, we weren't as oversaturated with zombie content yet.
That's true. Yeah, it was one of the first like really full budget kind of zombie movies to come during that whole.
Well, we had a string of pretty good zombie movies for a while. We had movies like 28 Days Later and
20 Days Later is awesome.
Shaun of the Dead was great.
Awesome.
And then this Dawn of the Dead one where they introduced the novel concept of fast zombies.
Yeah.
And okay, look,
28 Days Later was fast zombies too.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all kind of ran together in the
but fast zombies were terrifying.
Yeah, they felt more threatening.
Yeah.
And they just felt like more of a thing you couldn't really fight back against as easily. But with Dawn of the Dead, the thing I realized watching it again is like, well, some of it still holds up. As far as the action and stuff goes, it's still pretty good in that regard. But if you compare it to, say, the George Romero original from the 70s, which actually had a lot more to say about the world and had more of a cultural metaphor going on, all of that subtext is completely removed from Zack Snyder's film.
Well, as every single film he makes is.
It's just it's super surface level.
Yeah, he makes shallow. I mean, he's just Michael Bay that makes comic book movies.
And what if instead of a cultural commentary about mass consumerism in the form of zombies, let's just have the zombies and make the film more of a thing about the reason why there are zombies and all this world going to hell is because there's too many gay people. There's like a lot of there's a lot of homophobia in it. Like, there's like the mall security guys who are like super like homophobic. There's a really drawn out scene where you watch like a preacher on TV.
Well, there wasn't really like there wasn't any social movement until like 2012.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, up until about 2013, 2012, you could do whatever you wanted to do. You could say you could do whatever you want. You could say whatever you want.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like you weren't allowed to be trans until like, I don't know, 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago is when you could start being trans, yeah.
And there's still a lot of work to do on that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is you look at movies like Dawn of the Dead and 300, which are sort of the pinnacle of the Zack Snyder directing style. I'd say Sucker Punch is in there.
Oh, Sucker Punch!
Yeah. And Sucker Punch, I kind of enjoy on a certain level, is just because it's a director with absolutely no filter, doing everything.
I never saw it.
Like, he couldn't decide which kind of movie he wanted to make, so he's just like, I'm just going to throw it all in there. It's very odd, because this movie's set in the early 20th century, and yet there's songs by Bjork playing on the part of the soundtrack. It's modern-sounding songs.
Yeah.
With, like, electronic instrumentation.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, you're not
They put on a record.
Yeah.
And it's Bjork. A song from 1995. And they're dancing to it.
Go off. You fucking got him, man. You fucking got him.
It's anachronistic.
And checkmate, Zach.
Yeah, checkmate. Yeah, right.
Well, getting back into Justice League here, the first thing I want to talk about, just to get it out of the way, is just the technical aspect of it.
Sure, I think we could start with that.
What's the stuff that's immediate? The immediate thing that you notice, the first thing you notice when the movie starts. And honestly, I was going into this pretty optimistic for the most part, because I had totally abstained from all superhero stuff. I haven't seen a superhero movie since like the first Thor movie.
Okay.
Maybe I think I saw one of the Iron Mans, and I saw one of the X-Men movies, the one directed by the child rapist.
Bryan Singer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw Logan. And Logan was okay.
Logan's fairly recent. That came out like a few years ago.
Yeah, I saw that one. And but other than that, like nothing. I have nothing. I did not see any of the previous Justice League, any of that kind of stuff. I didn't think I needed to, because it's like, oh, I'm sorry. There's going to be some fucking branching story that I'm not going to understand going into this. Like, please, give me a fucking break. I asked Tom, our good buddy Tom, the other day, I was like, what do I watch to, like, understand the whole, like, not DC, because this is a DC thing, but, like, the whole Marvel thing. Like, what do I have to watch to, like, start the whole storyline, to start the whole, like, first movie up until, like, I guess, Avengers or whatever. And he said the first Iron Man movie, which I think came out in, like, 2009.
Yeah,
Something
I want to say 2008.
Yeah, so I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, fuck that then.
You got like 30 movies you gotta watch.
No, absolutely not. You fucking kidding me? I'm gonna watch 30 children's movies.
You gotta watch Doctor Strange. You gotta watch all the Iron Mans. You gotta watch all the Guardians of the Galaxy. You gotta watch just everything, and
yeah,
all the Captain Americas.
Guardians of the Galaxy is part of it.
Part of the MCU. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. All that's.
Oh my god.
All that's part of it. The last superhero movie I saw before this one was the last Avengers movie, which came out in 2019. It was like the Avengers Ender's Game or the End Game or Game Over or whatever. And I walked out of that movie going like, all right, we're done with these movies now. That's the last one.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that the one where everybody dies?
Story's over. That's Infinity War.
Oh, okay.
And
because I heard about that and I was like, cool.
And then the third one, see, that's the thing about these movies is, well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
I want to keep us on topic here. So, yeah, the technical aspects. Let's get into that.
So
let's talk about that square aspect.
So the original theatrical release, the original Joss Whedon release of Justice League was a normal aspect ratio.
Another sexual predator.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think they all are. I'm just gonna assume they all are. I think that's safer. Mm-hmm. But So, Josh, proven sexual predator Whedon, his movie, was a normal aspect ratio, normal, like framed normally, like a theater release. It fits your whole fucking screen. essentially.
Yeah, if there's one way I'd describe the way that movie looks, it's normal.
It's a normal aspect ratio. But Zack Snyder went with a 4:3 for his cut, and essentially it's like an IMAX resolution. And so the only thing that's different is that it looks like a game that you're loading onto your PC from 2006.
Yeah.
It's like all cut up.
Full motion video.
It's like a full motion video situation. And every single scene has like 10 feet of headroom above the characters. Which I thought was so fucking annoying, because you look at the Joss Whedon cut and it's just framed right. Like it's centered, it's framed. There's no negative space. It's just everything, every piece of information you need is in the screen, in the shot, and it's fine. It's like now it's like you look at Zack Snyder's cut and there's just this giant amount of headroom above Henry Cavill's head. Like there's just like 10 feet of nothingness above his head. And he's like further out. It's like zoomed out kind of.
So we can make the frame appear taller that way because we have these big Ubermenschian characters that need to fill up that space. But all it did for me was make me go, what happened? What's going on with the rest of the frame here?
Yeah.
I want it to fill up my TV.
Yeah, exactly. Because what's the point of these movies? These movies are not these like super smart, epic, it's not The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the fucking Lighthouse that like artistically chose that specific type of aspect ratio to emulate older movies or like old, 1930s maybe style
Yeah,
films.
it was going for that old style 1930s kind of horror movie, very like Edgar Allan Poe influence.
But that worked because it totally worked and like was part of the film, and it made sense, and I really liked it.
Well, because they actually had to, for the Lighthouse, they actually designed all the set around that idea.
Yeah.
Because they actually had to build that lighthouse so that when they shot it in that aspect ratio,
It would fit in the frame.
So they didn't just do it on a whim. They didn't just go like Zack Snyder.
They didn't do it in
I think
post.
IMAX is really cool, guys. It's cool because it's really big.
Yeah.
And I like things that big. And Christopher Nolan's really cool. And he likes IMAX too. He was actually a producer on this film.
Yeah, so that should be your first red flag, is that Christopher Nolan is basically Zack Snyder's mentor. And that is not okay. That is not okay.
Mentor. They're like the same age.
It's I don't know, like I guess, but it just seems like he looks up to him in a weird way, or like he takes cues from him.
And then besides the aspect ratio, the film just doesn't look very good. It's very monochromatic.
Oh, it looks like shit.
And it's super grainy.
It looks like it has like 4 or 5 Instagram filters.
We watched
over
it on a 4K TV.
It's really shitty. You can't. It's like,
and it's not like your internet was bad where it couldn't
we
get
checked.
the signal.
We checked.
Yeah,
I checked.
We tried everything. We tried adjusting the settings.
Why does this look like it's in like 480p? Like it just looks bad. Like nothing is sharp. Like it just kind of stutters a bit. There's just nothing really like popping out here. Like there's no emphasis on any sort of like part of the shots. Like any shot, there's no emphasis on anything color wise or in terms of perspective. It's all just like one flat grain shade of blue or gray. And I guess it kind of looks like the Batman vs Superman movie.
A little bit. Yeah, it did look very similar to that.
It's just like, oh, we're DC, so this is we're doing the dark one.
Yeah.
This is the dark one.
The movie made me think about it's sort of a trope with digital artists, which is that they do a painting or something in Photoshop or whichever software they're using, and they're like, all right, the painting's done. What's missing? Oh, I'm just going to add a noise filter over
Yeah,
it.
just a noise, just a brush over the whole thing.
Add some specks and dust and crap. Make it look more like a real painting that way. And I feel like that's what was going on here. They had like just a film grain filter on top of another different type of grain filter.
Well, it's just one of those things where you could totally tell when you're trying to emulate something analog.
Yeah.
When you're trying to emulate, the tiny flaws that you get from shooting in like 70 millimeter.
Yeah.
It's like you get these little flaws that kind of give the film a little bit of character, and it's kind of cool. And when you try to just use that like digitally, you try to add that in post, you can totally tell. It's like, oh great, they put this whole movie into like iMovie and fucking just put a bunch of filters over it. It looks like shit.
Yeah. And iMovie is what I use to edit our videos.
As you should.
So
let's get into the actual film itself
Right.
here. And
let's talk about the story. And what's interesting here is Everett and I are coming at this in two different ways, in that I actually saw the full Joss Whedon version of this movie a few years ago, and now I'm watching the actual Snyder cut, whereas you haven't seen the original one. Not really.
no, I've just been watching Sopranos.
Yeah, and
That's it. I just watched Sopranos.
so you come at this and you instantly want to compare everything, but if you have nothing really to compare it to,
That's why I was optimistic about it.
you just have to look at it on its own.
Because I wasn't like totally played out from superhero stuff because I hadn't really seen any of it. So the way I was trying to have like a silver lining coming into this, being as like, look, I haven't seen a bunch of superhero stuff. Maybe this will be good. You know, maybe I won't be like jaded at all.
Mm-hmm. So when the movie started, I had to kind of sum up a little bit of it for Everett, because the movie starts and you're like, Jordan, what the hell's going on? And I said, well, Superman's dead and everybody misses him, and all the other heroes are sort of fractured and off doing their own thing, and that sets the stage for our villain Steppenwolf to come onto the scene and start doing his thing. And that's pretty much it. All the ball just gets rolling
Great.
from there.
So yeah, all 30 movies summed up.
So if you haven't seen Wonder Woman, if you haven't seen Aquaman, it probably helps if you've seen those before watching
Well,
this.
it doesn't help the story. It just helps the, like, we get to see these characters doing more stuff.
Well, you kind of know where they came from, at least a little bit.
First of all, Ben Affleck, worst Batman. Worst fucking Batman.
I think even he thinks he's the worst Batman.
He doesn't even want to be there.
He looks so tired.
He
and
hates it.
Schlubby.
I don't really dislike Ben Affleck that much. Really, I mean,
No, he's all right.
He's fine. There's plenty of movies of his that I like, but when you cast somebody, you should probably make sure that they actually want to do the role.
Yeah, I feel like with some characters in this, I can at least tell that they are passionate about portraying this character. Like, I feel like Henry Cavill, he wants to be Superman.
Well, Henry Cavill is like, he's just a go-getter.
Yeah, and
Pretty
I
much
feel
anything he's a part of, he tries his best, and I like him a lot. He's really good in the Witcher series.
he's a very likable dude. Like, I actually watched a video with Henry Cavill the other day. It was like from a year or two ago when he was attending Comic-Con, but he was kind of in disguise a little bit, just as a regular attendee. And then people didn't really know who he was, and he just kind of revealed himself to people.
Insanely ripped dude, just walking around Comic-Con, the only guy in shape.
Like, he went up to he went up to Will Smith and just like shook his hand, just like pretending to be a fan. And he's like, "Oh, by the way, like we're doing these movies together." And he's like, "Oh shit." And Will Smith is like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. That's you. Oh, okay.
Haha.
Gotcha." But yeah, I feel like he fits the role well. I think Jason Momoa is probably my favorite out of all of them.
I mean, he really actually does make sense for that role. Like, he really does kind of embody sort of how I would see like a modern fucking jacked Aquaman. It's the only way you can make Aquaman kind of cool.
He's like this.
Because Aquaman
yeah.
sucks. Inherently, he's like one of the worst superheroes.
He's like this Guinness chugging, tattooed Polynesian surf bro.
Yeah, which is weird. He totally fits in this like Icelandic village that he's hanging out in.
And I feel like as much as she sucks at acting, Gal Gadot looks the part really well with
she
Wonder
looks good as Wonder Woman. She can't act to save her fucking life. Like, you couldn't put a gun to her head to make her act.
Oh yeah.
She's so bad. She's so fucking bad. Like, I don't know, like, what strings the IDF pulled to get her that role, but goddamn, like, hats off, because she knows somebody.
Well, that's why she's not really in other movies besides these.
I think it was probably primarily because Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, they're such shallow people that, all that really matters is the look of everything. Mm-hmm. And the effects. Like, nothing really matters about like character work or script or acting ability. Like, none of that stuff. They kind of lucked out getting Henry Cavill. He's just, like I said before, he's just kind of a go-getter. He does do a great Superman. I do like him as Superman. I think he's fantastic. But The rest of them are just like, oh, we just need to kind of get them to look like they belong in there. And that's about all we need to do.
Well, that's the Snyder storytelling method, which is that he doesn't really care about anything really behind them, or at least anything meaningful story-wise. He just simply focuses on the characters he thinks are cool, and he shows them being awesome all the time in these like glorifying poses and shots and angles.
It's like fan service. He's all about fan service.
Yeah, and that's all he really knows what to do with them. And same thing with the villains. Like something people were talking about with this with the Snyder cut versus the Whedon cut is our main guy, the Born to Be Wild Steppenwolf, was just a bad dude. He was just like a guy in the Whedon cut, and in this one he actually has at least some formulance of a character motivation, which is that he's this subservient being under this other guy named Darkseid.
I actually liked the villainy in this.
Yeah.
I liked the villainy. It made no sense why they were doing what they were doing. I mean, none of the stuff they did made any fucking sense, but I liked the characters quite a bit.
So, yeah. But it's just kind of funny because it's like, so what's his motivation now? Oh, it's like he's trying to get under this, under the rule of this, or over the, he's trying to get under, like, serving this Darkseid character. Okay, and what's the deal with Darkseid? Oh, he's just evil. He's just a bad dude.
He just apparently destroys hundreds of thousands of worlds for, like, no fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Just cause. That's like it's one of my least favorite, like, villain tropes, is that there are just these villains out there that just, they just want to blow shit up. They just kill indiscriminately, and like, I'm the Joker, baby. Like, fucking anarchy. It's like because that's the scariest one of all. Like, the Joker was such a great villain because no matter what you did, he wasn't after money, or he wasn't after, fame or anything. He was just trying to cause problems. He was just trying to cause anarchy and stuff. Just be a troll. And everybody thought, like, oh, that's like the perfect villain because it's even scarier. Like, how do you defeat that? You can't. Like, you can't do anything about that. He'll just keep coming.
A lot of the motivation for the general villainy outside of those the main villains is all very vague. Like, one of the opening action sequences of this movie just involves a bunch of terrorist guys just going into a building and
the first, like,
holding a bunch of kids
scene,
hostage.
The first superhero scene we get with Wonder Woman was actually started off pretty good. I actually quite liked the way, like, the movement, like Wonder Woman's movement, and the way she kind of deposed all these guys. And I thought it was kind of badass. The whole, like, the arm shields and stuff, like that all that stuff, perfect, fine.
Yeah,
very superhero-y, very on brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was fine. It wasn't just until the very end where, okay, two things. Number one, just two things real quick. Number one, the motivation of those fucking terrorists is so stupid. It makes we're gonna blow up. They're talking about how they're gonna change the world by blowing everybody up, but then they say they're only gonna blow up like 4 city blocks.
Right.
Okay. So all right. So you're just gonna cause traffic then for the next. You're gonna make the news. You're gonna cause traffic for a month while they clean it up and rebuild the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a dumb plan. Number 2, the bomb they have is, like, not even like this crazy supervillain bomb that's gonna make this huge explosion. It's just like a piece of, like, C4.
Yeah.
So it's like the most least threatening looking thing ever.
It just looked like your standard C4 bomb that's connected to a timer. It looked like the bomb in the briefcase from, like, Face Off.
Yeah, and then there's Wonder Woman, like, takes care of all the henchmen, and then, like, the main guy is left, and he's just standing there. She has no problem fucking kung fuing down all these other guys, but then instead of just, like, taking this guy down, she uses her fucking mega Kamehameha blast thing that she does, and she blows up the entire fucking floor of the, like, basically she does exactly the same amount of damage as a bomb like that would have done.
Yeah. So you're kind of wondering, well, and you kind of think,
I'm like, is that on purpose? Is that supposed to be funny?
I think it was just because Zack Snyder thinks, explosions are cool.
I mean, it was cool. Like, that's fine. The scene was fine. It was when you lose motivation behind a character, it doesn't make any sense. And this is a problem with a lot of superhero movies and a lot of like big fight movies, like Kong versus Godzilla and stuff like that. Is that when you just have like sort of indiscriminate destruction, it just kind of takes away from the whole like, oh, we should stop these guys or else they're gonna destroy things. But we got to do it by destroying things. Like, what the fuck is the point?
This is a common thing in the other Snyder directed movies in this
like
DC universe.
Didn't the Superman movie? Didn't he just like kill a whole city?
Yeah, that happened in the climax of Man of Steel.
Yeah,
had him fighting these Zod guys, and there's so much collateral damage. They're destroying. They're just
thousands of people
punching
dying.
Buildings through. They're just flying through them and knocking them over. And it's like, yeah, for beings as powerful as this, it's like that's likely to happen. But it made me think of Superman just could have done like the Goku thing on Dragon Ball Z, like, hey, Frieza, or hey, whoever. Like, there's lots of innocent people around here. Let's go fight somewhere else.
Yeah, they go out. They go out into that desert.
Your
place
score to
with
settle
all the
is
cliffs.
with me. Yeah,
yeah. Goku takes them out into the desert place with all the cliffs.
Let's go to these places that are easier for the background artist to paint.
Yeah, they go to places that are easier to paint. They go to like a mountain or something, and it's just a single mountain in the background. Or they go to that like grassy field that goes on forever. Yeah. Or they go to Namek where there's like no change in the terrain for the entire planet. The entire planet is like the Flintstones essentially.
Yeah, we just need to paint the background green.
Yeah, it's just the world, but it's just Earth but green, and it has like truffula trees on it. They've end up finding out that Earth is a place where Darkseid was defeated once before.
Oh, right.
And that's why Earth becomes this kind of special place that, they have to defend, or they have to, it becomes this sort of like special focal point for the villain. And I think that's so funny because he just kind of forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Like Darkseid, this being who's killed 100,000 worlds without any problem whatsoever. He's going around the universe just fucking one-shotting all these fucking people. And there's this one planet where he gets defeated on, and he vows revenge on the planet. It's this ultimate thorn in his side. It's this ultimate black mark on his legacy that he was defeated here. And then he just kind of forgets about it.
Right. Well, we're treated to a very long flashback sequence that goes into this whole backstory, which is not in the Whedon cut, by the way. We're just supposed to kind of go with it in that one. And in this one, yeah, there's this long sequence that's very awkwardly narrated by Gal Gadot.
That was so painful.
Like many thousands of years ago, there was an alliance between Hercules and the Greek gods, and also the Mongolians, and also the pirates, and also the Amazonians,
and the Denver Broncos were there too.
Yeah, and so were the Marklar and all the guys.
Yeah, they were all there, and they fought the man, and the man, he died.
And you're just watching this, and it looks like a video game cutscene.
It looks like
from
a cutscene
Mortal Kombat 9.
From like Command and Conquer or something like that, like from like Red Alert 3.
I just love how it's played completely straight. There's zero sense of humor to it.
I love how the scene is like 10 minutes long, and the whole time like Batman is supposedly just standing there.
Yeah.
Like he's just standing there not saying anything. just eyes, Ben Affleck's eyes are just rolling back in his head. Just glazed over.
So after that's done, he's like, okay, we gotta get all the mother boxes. That's the MacGuffin of this movie.
Yeah, the MacGuffin is that apparently what they use to destroy the worlds are like these boxes that when they come together, they just kind of nuke the whole place.
They form what's called the Unity.
Why can't they just like don't they have like a giant ship that they can just like shoot the planet from?
Don't they just have like a giant sniper rifle on the moon or something?
Yeah, I mean like
a Gundam.
It just doesn't make any sense why. I mean, is that what they have to do for every single world? They have to come down and like do the mother box thing and destroy it?
Yeah, they got to do
Why can't they just fucking shoot it?
Because that's not how you fulfill the prophecy.
It's like, why don't we just go back in time and shoot Austin Powers when he's taking a shit or something?
Because they want to do it a certain way. They don't want to destroy the planet.
It's gotta be a certain way.
They have to do it in a particular way where they don't want to like kill everyone. They want to turn everyone into slaves. That's what the Unity is supposed to do. It's supposed to make them all like sort of.
It turns them into the fucking flying monkey creatures.
They make them, the parademons or whatever they're called. Yeah, they become these sort of zombie-like servants.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which would be more useful than just killing everything.
True.
So at least that's what I gather.
Okay.
So there's sort of this race going on between Steppenwolf and his minions getting the mother boxes and the heroes getting them too, or protecting them.
Collecting the Dragon Balls. Who can get them first?
Yeah, it's that same general plot device.
I love how, we're kind of jumping around here, but I just want to quickly say, like, I love how Steppenwolf decides to make his base on Earth in this giant kind of old reactor.
Oh, the Chernobyl place?
The Chernobyl place. And, like, his base is, like, this giant city size. It has this, like, giant shield dome around it. This glowing, massive, like, size of a city dome around it. And, like, there's a whole subplot. I guess, like, there's a whole plot in the movie where the Justice League is trying to find his base. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't know where it is. And nobody just says, hey, what the fuck is that giant, like, tumor sticking out of the side of the planet that's so fucking big you can probably see it from space?
Yeah.
Like, they can't, like...
No one will find this place unless they look for it
unless they, like, just, like, look over there.
Yeah. It's the same thing with the mother boxes. Yeah. They weren't hidden all that well.
No, like, everybody had one.
Yeah.
They didn't have to, like, do, like, I was expecting some kind of, like, Uncharted Indiana Jones type scene where they had to, like, go to these, like, old ruins or something, and there had to be, like, some adventure aspects where they had to go into, like, these ruins, and, like, it would be down there at the bottom of this, like, 10,000-year-old temple, and there would be, I don't know, I thought that'd be kind of cool, but no, everybody just kind of just happened to have one.
Yeah, they'd have to solve some sort of puzzle or something like that in order to actually find it.
But, like, Cyborg, who is, like, probably, like, the most, like, useless character. He has nothing to do.
He's supposed to be the main character of this.
He has nothing to do.
He's supposed to be key to all of this, as George Lucas would say.
He is a funnier character than we've had before.
That'd be the Flash. But in the Whedon cut, he's removed almost entirely. Like, he's in the movie, but you don't really know why.
The only, they had to give him a mother box to have just so he would have something to do.
Yeah.
You know, and then, like, for some weird reason, he can just hack into stuff. Like, I guess the mother box created him? Mm-hmm. Is that what it was?
So his father, after his son was pretty much dying from a car accident, his father, who's, like, this really brilliant scientist, turned him into a machine man, into a Terminator, pretty much. And you thought, oh, he built this cyborg body for him. And it's like, no, he just opened the mother box, and the mother box just kind of did its thing. And
it's kind of weird because...
And that just happened.
It's kind of weird because, like, none of the minions that the Steppenwolf guy has, like, they don't look like that. Like, they look completely different. They look like weird bug creatures. Like, why does he look like a cyborg thing? And then there's the other guys that were turned into shit by the mother box look like bug creatures.
Yeah, it's one of those MacGuffins where, well, what does it do? Well, it does whatever the plot, whatever we want it to do. You know, it's space magic.
I mean, it would have been worse if he built him like that.
Yeah, because we were wondering about that. Like, why did he...
It would have been worse because he just, like, he got in his car accident and, like, he rebuilds them, and then he tells him, like, oh, you have the power to, like, launch all the nukes in the world. And it's like, why would you do that to your son?
By the way, we also made you have this unstable characteristic where, yeah, you could possibly destroy the entire planet. I just threw that in there. I don't know why.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, maybe instead of that, you could have made it so my dick would work.
Right? Something like that.
Nothing's ever brought up about that.
No, apparently, yeah, it's just all just, you know, I'm sure there's some kind of mechanical situation he's got going on.
It's like, why do you think Cyborg's so brooding all the time? It's like, dude,
you can't jack off.
I got no dick, man.
I got no dick.
I can hack into all the world's supercomputers. I can pretty much access anything I want to do.
Yeah, I love how he sees, like, the world of banking as, like, comical piles of money next to people's pictures.
Right.
It's just
It's very Watch Dogs.
very Watch Dogs, yeah.
So yeah, he's off hacking the planet and paying off people's GoFundMe bills, and he's just generally being a good guy, I guess. But he's conflicted about it. He's conflicted about why am I helping anyone?
So the first part of the film is essentially we're just getting introduced to all the characters, their different avenues that they've gone down, and I find it really interesting, like the inclusion of the Flash. Like the Flash, I want to talk about the Flash for a second.
Yeah, we should get into Flash.
Man, what was it that they?
We need to talk about Kevin, the Flash.
So did they paid Josh Whedon like millions of dollars to write that dude's lines, right?
Oh yeah, they had they paid Joss Whedon an enormous amount of money,
like $8 or $9 million or something like that.
Yeah, to write his snarky, clever comeback lines like, well, that just happened. So he's the bad guy, right?
$300,000.
I'm really a fan of being alive, so it would be best.
$500,000 right there. Bam. Charge it. The comic relief situation in this movie is so fucking bad. I hate every scene that the Flash is in.
It's somehow, but it's interesting because I'm in this comparison mode where I go, it's so much worse in the Whedon version.
Oh, I bet. Everything. The only thing that I thought looked all right in the Whedon version was that the colors were fixed and the aspect ratio is fixed.
Sure, yeah.
That's about it.
I'm just saying there's so many more cringeworthy lines with the Flash and every other character. Everybody just talks like a moron. Well, they talk like a Joss Whedon character.
Yeah.
That's it. He only has one way of writing anyone. He's kind of like an Aaron Sorkin of kind of person where he thinks in his mind that this is how people talk or should talk.
Yeah.
Everybody's always making clever comebacks to each other nonstop.
Like all of his characters, like they can't just be in the moment. They gotta like not quite break the fourth wall, but they gotta like be the fish out of water character that is like, oh, I'm a real person. I'm not like this. I'm not an actual character in a movie. I'm acting like what a real person would say. In this situation, and that's how he relate to the audience.
So the way,
and nobody talks like that.
The way that we're introduced to the Flash's backstory is we have the character visiting his father, who's in prison for something. I forget why.
I think it was like raping and murdering his wife.
Yeah. I'm going to assume like one of the worst things.
Yeah, it was like a head of a child pornography ring or something.
He's like,
like
Dad,
that.
I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to school and I'm getting jobs and I'm making money. And he's like, don't waste your life doing that, son. You're so much better than that. And I'm just thinking, that's such a weird thing for a father to say to his son.
There was like no reason for his dad to be in prison.
Yeah.
Like his character and everything, like it doesn't make any sense. Like the way he was acting is that his dad, what his character was like a business executive that doesn't pay attention to his son.
Right.
That's what the character is. It's somebody who's too busy to parent their kid, who's always doing busy man things, and he can't be a dad. So he's just telling his son these like kind of throwaway father advice lines. You know, just like, come talk to me when you're like successful situation.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's an okay character to have in a movie. Sure. But why is him being in prison? It made like with how he was, the personality of the character, it made zero sense.
So the Flash is going, oh, don't worry, I'm going to go to law school and I'll learn the legal system and figure out a way to get you out of here. And I'm just thinking, aren't you the Flash? Can't you just use your powers to bust him out of jail?
Also,
you can
like,
literally move faster than the speed of light.
This guy, like, obviously, like, so you're just, all the lawyers that he had are just wrong.
I guess.
Like, everybody's wrong. Like, you dumbass fucking, what's his name? Evan Enzo? What's his name? The actor?
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. So Ezra Miller is smarter than all these other lawyers. He's going to get his dad out of jail just by learning law. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like something like a fucking autistic kid would say. I don't know. It's just like, what the hell? Why does everybody in this fucking movie have like a learning disability? I don't understand it.
I'm just saying, use your freaking flash powers, dude. You seem to use them all the time unnecessarily at some points. Like there's a scene, I think it was in like part 4. Oh, by the way, this movie's divided into like 6 parts. That
it's bathroom breaks.
It's bathroom breaks.
It's all it is.
It's sort of like
there's no other reason why.
Kind of a mini series.
It's not like they have like a theme, or it's not like there's these like, you know, conclusions. There's not these like arcs or anything. It's just bathroom breaks.
Like there's a scene where they're all just kind of talking to each other in this one base location, and for some reason the Flash is like flashing his way to other parts of the room.
Yeah.
Just for like no real, it's like, did he really have to?
Like they could have added with that. Like they could have shown like Bruce Wayne getting like annoyed with him or something, and that could have maybe added to the scene a bit. But they just, you know, it was just there. It was just whatever. We're just you got to show him doing stuff.
Yeah,
you got to show him doing superhero things, because like in every single superhero movie, you got to have them busting up easy shit. You got to have them busting down like street criminals to show them do their, and then they got the main villain that takes them longer to defeat.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you got to show them doing as much superhero stuff as possible, because that's all these fucking children want to see.
You gotta show them saving this cute girl from a car accident. Yeah. A lot of car accidents in this movie.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of car accidents. A lot of bad drivers over there in Gotham or whatever.
There was like a boat accident with Aquaman. All that was missing was like a plane accident.
Yeah, no planes went down, I don't think.
No planes went down. They could have had Wonder Woman have her invisible jet go down.
Oh, yeah. They didn't even have an invisible jet in this one. Maybe that's in the like Snyder extra double cut. The double stuffed Justice League. It's 8 hours long.
So I think we've pretty much gone through up to part 4. I want to say. Yeah,
so Ben Affleck goes around and like does the most cliche thing ever, where he just like he has to assemble a team begrudgingly. He would much rather just be at home watching like UFC or something like that. Mm-hmm. He would much rather be doing anything else other than doing this movie. But he goes around and he has to do that thing where he goes into a new place to find a new character, and they have to go like the thing from Rick and Morty, like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he does. The movie starts that way, and it just kind of keeps going that, because the movie opens with him finding Aquaman.
Amy Adams is just doing stuff. Amy Adams is like just drinking tea.
Yeah, Lois Lane, right.
There's a scene in this with Lois Lane, Amy Adams' character, that really, I think, sums up the entire movie. Clark Kent's mom comes by Lois Lane's apartment and tells her, like, you know, you got to move on. And it's actually this pretty good scene.
Yeah.
It's actually a really decent scene between the two. It makes sense, you know, because the mother is like, look, like, I'm his mom and I'm moving on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm strong, I'm moving on. She's inspiring Lois Lane to move on as well. You know, she's trying to lead by example and show that, like, you know, you can get through this. You can, you know, you should go back to work. You should go on with your life, do all this stuff. And it's this really actually kind of touching scene. And it's completely fucking upended. At the very, very end, Superman's mom leaves the apartment, closes the door, and it turns out that she was like fucking Martian Manhunter the entire time. Like, her eyes start glowing red.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, of course. Like, we couldn't just have that scene. We couldn't just have like a normal fucking scene that made sense, that there was acting involved, that there was a script involved, that it was shot okay, that the frame wasn't all fucked up. Like, we couldn't just have one nice thing. It had to be ruined by this character that shows up one fucking time. Like, for the rest of the movie, one extra time, and at the very end to just say, hey, can I be in the next movie? And Ben Affleck's like looking like he just, you know, finished filming this movie 2 years ago, and he had to come back 2 years later for like this one scene reshoot situation. He looks completely different. He's all fat. I mean, he's fat throughout the whole movie, but he's extra fat and bloated in this one. And he just says like, yeah, sure. And the movie fucking ends.
Yeah. Well, after that scene with Superman's mom or Martha and Lois Lane.
Martha. That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, cool, we're going to do that. And then there's this little scene where Lois is going getting Starbucks, and then the rest of the Justice League guys are going, all right, we got to get Superman back because we can't do shit without Superman.
Oh no, the actual superheroes themselves are pretty much useless. Superman has to do everything.
Yeah,
Superman is like so unbelievably far more powerful than every other character in this entire situation. It's so hilarious. Batman has nothing to do.
One of the few scenes I actually like in this movie is the part where they bring Superman back to life and he's all angry and confused.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like, fuck all of you.
That was actually my favorite scene, was a scene that 100%, there's the consensus across the whole internet is that the scene was completely unnecessary. It made no sense whatsoever. Like, you don't have to have Superman just like fight them for no reason. You know, he was all confused. Is he really like confused enough to just like fully use all of his powers? He doesn't recognize anybody. It's so ridiculous. But we did get a sweet scene of Superman just beating up these annoying people.
It just showed like how much stronger he was
than
all of them. They were all trying to throw it at, but they weren't trying to hurt him, but they were trying to kind of snap him out of it.
Yeah,
like,
they couldn't do anything.
Are.
They couldn't do anything.
And it's only until Lois shows up that he kind of snaps out of it, because she pleads with him and goes like, "You're not like this, you know, you remember me, right?" And he's like, oh yeah, right.
All right.
Sorry.
That's my bitch.
Yeah, sorry about all that.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like, I love at the final fight at the end when they're fighting Steppenwolf, and like Batman really doesn't have anything to do, so he kind of just like runs around with a gun, like shooting minions in the back.
Yeah, he has his little turret gun.
Yeah,
and he's just like, all right.
Like he's not doing anything. Like
the only ones who do anything at the end, well, obviously Superman. He beats the shit out of Steppenwolf. He's just Dragon Ball Z punching him.
Yeah.
And then Wonder Woman cuts his head off.
I love like he's already dead. He's just going through the portal or whatever and cuts his head off.
It just reminded me of a D&D encounter where it's like,
everybody's got to get in on it.
All right, Jordan, your character. All right, you kill him. How do you do it? Well, what I do is I pull out my frost battle axe and I ram it against him until it dislodges his neck.
I use all my athleticism to like leap in the air and cut his head off midair, and it's all in slow motion and cool.
Yeah,
slow motion is so lame. Slow motion sucks so much. It's like, it's the only thing I didn't like about the Judge Dredd movie.
Oh, Judge Dredd. You mean the Dredd?
Yeah, Dredd is awesome. It's a great. That's how honestly action movies should be done. It was so stupid. They had to invent this whole like a drug that caused slow motion. This is the dumbest thing ever. It was literally called slow-mo.
Right.
And it's just slow motion. Like, when are we gonna be done with this crap? Because it's so dumb. It's like, how do we make a scene last 10 extra minutes?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a joke you can make about this movie. It was like, well, it's 4 hours, but you could also watch it on like 2 times speed.
Yeah.
And it's the length of a regular movie. And to be fair, as far as like the Snyder tropes go, I expected more than what actually was there. There's plenty of slow motion
I'm sure there was more.
But I felt like it's not like there was no restraint whatsoever.
No, there was a little bit more. It's kind of ironic that every single scene with the Flash was in like slow motion.
Yeah, because they could only portray his speed in slow motion because it's too fast to capture on film. Or I don't know exactly where they were going with that, but the effects weren't really impressive.
Oh no, the effects were terrible. I watched Kong vs. Godzilla, and the effects in that looked awesome. They look really good. The CGI in the Justice League movie is garbage.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because they had so much more time and money thrown at this project. They had an extra somewhere between like $30 and $70 million.
Everything looks like a early PlayStation 4 cutscene.
And I bet a lot of the artists who were working on this, all the CG artists, were like so sick of this. They're like, oh, we gotta do this. I gotta work on this again.
Well, if you look at the behind the scenes, like every single scene is saturated with it. Like, every single scene is shot in front of, like, a giant green screen.
Yeah,
like,
the behind
studio.
the scenes, they're like, oh, we're so cool. It's so great to be back on set again. And it's like, what's the set?
The set is this one room.
A warehouse with a giant green screen.
Warehouse with it's one warehouse with a big green screen in it, and that's it. Like, that's just how, like, sterilized movies have become.
It's just, there's nothing about that would make me excited about filmmaking.
No, not whatsoever. That's why everybody's like, learn to code. Because that's what movies are too.
Yeah,
like, if you want
to, it just makes me sad, dude.
It's terribly depressing. Like watching these things get made is just soul wrenching. Really, I mean, there's no thought, there's no location. I mean, maybe there was a few probably location shots or scenes in this, but maybe during the Amazonian stuff,
yeah,
there might have been a couple. I don't know for sure. I'd have to look into it, but for the most part, everything is done completely digitally.
Mm-hmm.
It's just looks like that. It feels like that. The actors feel like they're standing in a warehouse. Most of these scenes are just people standing directly in front of each other and talking.
It also limits the amount of interactivity the actors can even do because, like with Wonder Woman, for instance, you got Gal Gadot. She's supposed to be doing this action and movement and everything, but she doesn't really get to do much. Her if you were to sum up like what she does as an action star, it's like, I'm gonna stand here and like kind of do a pose and look determined, and the editors and CG artists are just gonna do the rest. I just got to do this.
Yeah, you got to hold your hands out in front of you, and then like they'll edit in a fucking Kamehameha wave.
Yeah, and I just kind of have to pretend I'm doing something, but I have nothing really.
I thought they did it, like I said,
interact
I was
with.
talking about it before, but I thought they did a good job with her in that first scene that she was in. But after that, she really didn't like do anything else. Like she kind of just got her ass kicked throughout the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Like everybody else kind of got their ass kicked throughout the rest of the film, and there just wasn't much really. I don't know. They felt so like neutered.
Mm-hmm.
Everything felt so neutered, like for the heroes themselves. Like I felt like they were so underpowered they couldn't really do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was also hard to really tell what everybody's power levels, so to speak, even were.
It was so varied. I mean, that's the one thing.
The only one I really understood was Superman.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing that the Marvel movies have over DC is that I feel like the Avengers are a little more equal. Except for the guy, there's like a bow and arrow guy, and then there's like Scarlett Johansson, who's just a girl with a gun.
Black Widow. She's good at being a spy.
She's good at like having a gun.
She's good at
She's good at wearing tight suits and having guns. Like that's about it. She can do like a little bit of kung fu, but that's it.
But other than that, she's just like a person.
Yeah, I mean,
she's not like an alien or a god.
No,
or someone with like a mech suit like Iron Man.
No, and I mean, like, I'm sure she does her own thing, and like that's fine, But it's a little more balanced though overall, I think, in Marvel than it is in DC. Because DC is just like if Superman's around, that's all you need.
I feel like the DC movies feel like a little bit more fantasy magic than the Marvel ones do. If I were to compare,
yeah, definitely, because the Marvel ones are like, oh, this guy got his powers from like a fucking science experiment gone wrong.
Yeah.
And
he fell into a vat of acid.
Yeah, everybody falls into a vat of acid, and you either become a villain or a superhero, one of the two.
Yeah. That's what happens to well, actually, no, I get that wrong. That's like every DC villain. How did the Joker become... Oh, he fell into a vat of acid. What happened to Mr. Freeze? Oh, he got frozen into a vat of...
Cold acid.
Frozen cold acid.
Cold acid, yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, I become evil. Or at least that was his backstory in Batman.
I think Poison Ivy got hit by acid or something.
She fell into like a lab of... Or like she fell into a bunch of like vials and beakers full of like...
different kinds of acids.
Different kinds of chemicals and stuff. Yeah. And then, like, now I'm poison. It didn't kill me, so now I'm
the penguin fell into, like, penguin acid or something.
And you just kind of... See, that kind of hits it on the head right there, where it's just like, you have to realize that the people who wrote these characters or invented these characters back in, like, the 30s and 40s, they weren't trying to create, like, this sort of modern mythology that we all revere.
They were, like, penny comics. They were, like, penny little fucking, it was like things you find on the back of a bubblegum wrapper.
These guys were all like alcoholics back in the 30s who were just making a penny by the word.
Like on the side, like they were working for like they were working for Warner Brothers making Looney Tunes cartoons, and then they would go and make these superhero stuff. Like it wasn't meant to be this like modern, like it wasn't supposed to have this like magnum opus like Odyssey level of mythology and storytelling. Like it wasn't meant to have any of this. It's so goofy when you try to inject that into it.
Right, and that's the thing about how everything is interpreted nowadays is because these superhero comic book films have become the cultural hegemony. of our time is now we got these people fans of it are defending it like, oh, actually, all these DC and Marvel cinematic universes are just as legitimate as, say, Greek and Roman mythology from their time. They have just the same amount of weight and importance as that. And I'm like, yeah, but those were written by people who were much better. Like, they were like poets and and philosophers, and
a lot of those myths and stuff.
And those were like creating new ideas back then.
Well, all those myths from back then, they were all allegories and metaphors for other stuff. Like, they were meant to teach something, or they had like a message behind them. They had a lesson.
Plus, everybody back in Greek and Roman times weren't always talking about how Hercules was cool. They weren't always. They had other shit going on.
No, besides. They had boys to love.
They had wine with lead in it to drink.
They had stuff. They had to drink their lead wine and love their boys.
They had gladiator battles to go.
They weren't thinking about the fucking bullshit stuff that some fucking guy was scribbling on the side of a cave wall. It's like, no.
They weren't all geeking out about that tale of Hercules where he did that thing where he was so strong that he did something that no one else could do. And
Homer came out of the fucking cave with his Odyssey that he wrote, and a Spartan warrior came up and like dumped his books. Like, they just like fucking smacked his big scrolls that he had, a big arm full of scrolls, and he just fucking smacked them out of his hands and like pulled his toga up over his head.
It's just kind of annoying to me because our media landscape is so oversaturated with this content. It used to be the case where I felt like I could opt out of it. It used to be the case where, I just don't have to watch this.
Yeah, that's just like one thing. Like, that's just one that's one type of movie that exists in a field of a bunch of different types of stuff.
I remember a time where every major movie coming out wasn't a Disney movie, right? And now it's pretty much everything, or at least anything that has any kind of like budget behind it, at least in Hollywood. And
yeah, it's like every once in a while we get like a gem, like we get, like we mentioned, The Lighthouse earlier, like once in a while.
Yeah, we get like the Safdie brothers doing stuff, and we get some good stuff, mostly A24.
Yeah, just essentially the whole entire point of this podcast is just watch A24 films.
Is that the point?
That's the whole point. Is just if you're gonna watch a movie, just watch an A24 film. That's about it. That's like the only studio that decides that they're gonna put out decent stuff.
I feel like they're the Olympian carrying the torch.
Yeah, they're like the last bastion of anybody who wants to make anything interesting.
I'm just saying that at least the movies they put out for the most part are interesting and unique and actually have something to say. And like I said,
it feels more like an actual like artist collective. It feels more like an actual like a studio that kind of like sets the environment for people to do cool stuff like that. Like, they're not trying to, they're just like, what do you got? What's your idea? Like, what is your vision? Like, tell me, like, what is it? And then, if it's something interesting, then they fucking fund it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just, it seems like more of a studio that's like, that filmmakers themselves kind of made happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like created by Coca-Cola. Like, it wasn't fucking McDonald's presents fucking Justice League.
They weren't. It
wasn't Starbucks fucking putting Justice League on their cups.
They weren't funded or sponsored by like the CIA and the military.
Yeah.
Because that's the feeling I get when I watch a lot of these movies. I feel like I'm watching an algorithm just sort of play itself out on screen.
Yeah, it's like piecing together the movie as you're watching it.
And I get the sense that
based on your YouTube history.
And I feel like also at the end of the day, all these films are like completely morally bankrupt and have really nothing to really offer in terms of any kind of meaningful moral message besides, some people or some things are just bad and we should kill them. And once they're dead, things are going to be okay again.
They're also acting like these superhero characters are like these extremely complex, like deep, like in-depth characters that need to be explored to understand. And we get, drunken Hawaiian guy who just can't fucking chill. And then we get fat Batman who doesn't want to be there. We get weird Israeli girl. We get IDF girl with no fucking personality. She's seen too much death.
Her personality is she's really beautiful.
She's really hot. And we get snarky fucking annoying kid. It's just we don't get anybody that's like has anything to offer.
And all the lines are just very stock. Like, I was trying to find like the most memorable quotes from this movie, and they're all just hero quotes. A lot of stuff that's been repeated.
There's not even really much of that either. It's like there's not much of like, because usually these movies are like they're trying to it's some sort of metaphor, some sort of like they're trying to say something. Because like back in the day, Captain America was a guy that fought the Nazis.
Right.
So he was literally like a propaganda character.
He was created out of a demand for
morale
anti-Nazi propaganda. He was there. He was there to support the war effort.
Yeah, so he had a specific purpose.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You know, it makes total sense. It's not great. You know, like propaganda is never good, but you know, in that sense, there was a clear line between good and evil, and he was just somebody that helped champion the cause. And now it's like I just feel like these characters have no point in the current world. Mm-hmm. Like they just exist in this world where they just don't have anything to do anymore. We don't need superheroes.
I have this idea that a lot of these movies, and this Justice League movie in particular, is that overwhelming their message is kind of conservative. And Zack Snyder fans in general kind of lean this way.
Do they?
Oh yeah. I looked at like stuff they were talking about like on Twitter and whatnot. A lot of the subtext in a lot of the Zack Snyder movies, it's very like Ayn Randian. It's very objectivist. There's people or certain beings that are meant to be better than us, and we should just let them do that. And
like that's just the natural order of the world, is that there are just beings that are above us.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like in that sort of Lord of the Rings style flashback that was in this movie. That was, being narrated.
Yeah.
Where I found it kind of interesting that all these different types of teams and forces that were coming here weren't really doing it because they had some sort of official alliance. Like they actually agreed to work together.
It was like an ultimatum kind of thing where like they had to, or else they were all gonna die.
Yeah, so they weren't uniting the world under a common goal. They just saw like a threat. So this select group of special individuals were there to basically just save the day. And that's the thing. Like Zack Snyder doesn't care about regular people. The only characters he cares about are like gods and like billionaires, and that's about it.
Yeah. Can we talk? We're running long here. Can we talk about the fucking weird post-credits scene?
Oh yeah. So after the movie ends, after Steppenwolf gets decapitated, there's about another hour of this movie in an epilogue sequence, which I believe is called. Well, I remember the first time I heard the title, I think it was called like something darker or epilogue, because it was one of those things where one of the characters actually says the title or the subtitle of the part, where it's one of those things. You said it. Oh, you said it. Like this truly is a hunt for Red October. We are engaging in Top Gun.
It will be a deep impact.
Yeah. It's a real Armageddon, Mr. President. Yeah, so we get this epilogue sequence. It's like the extended edition Return of the King, Lord of the Rings movie, where it has like 45 minutes of just ending.
Me getting up in the theater 6 times.
Slowly watching that boat set sail in slow motion. All
right, that was good. Fuck, man, there's more.
So, yeah, we get this. So we get all this extra stuff thrown in. There's a scene that takes place over on Lex Luthor's yacht. The only real time we see him in this movie.
Jesse Eisenberg sucks so much.
Bald Jesse, even worse, bald Jesse
Eisenberg. He looks so bad. I mean, come on. Can we get... I don't know. When I think of Lex Luthor, I think of the dude from the Batman animated series.
Yeah, the big guy.
The big guy.
Right.
He kind of had like he was sort of... I think he was like half black or something. It's kind of... Or he was like a black guy kind of.
Something like that, yeah.
He was, I don't know, he just kind of had this, like, cool... He was a big intimidating guy. Like he just kind of fit that part, you know? And then what we get is this like fucking pale, skinny little fucking wet, cum-soaked sock of Jesse Eisenberg. I don't know, man. He doesn't even look good in a suit.
You see a lot more of him in the Batman vs Superman.
He doesn't even look good in a suit. He looks like he was born with some kind of weird, like, Benjamin Button disease.
And he's just insufferable. Everything he says, he always talks in riddles.
He has, like, the high-pitched villain voice.
He's like, haha, well, you see, blah, 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 blah. It just has that sort of tone to his voice that just makes everything he says just incredibly annoying. And
it's like some faggy lord kind of has, like, this, you know, sort of, like, floofy, sort of, yeah, kind of fucking voice to him.
So this guy with this eye patch, who I believe is this character called Darkseid, you know, Dan Crenshaw comes up onto the boat. He's like, I got a score to settle. He's like, oh, well, it happens I have a score to settle as well. Perhaps we could work together. Enjoy this nice glass of very expensive Chardonnay while we talk. And that scene happens. And then we get to this dream sequence or nightmare sequence where it's sort of set like in the apocalypse. And you got Batman there, and you got what's her name from Aquaman, the Amber Heard.
Amber Heard, yeah.
Talking in a British accent for some reason.
So funny, like they made her like
I'll make you pay for what you did to Harry or whatever. Alfred. Like what? God. Stop.
It's so funny. Like they like CGI'd her boobs bigger.
They pushed him up pretty good.
They pushed him up into her fucking throat. That was so funny.
So you got this sort of, and then like Darkseid is there, and they're all just kind of there. The jokester, the Jared Leto character, shows up, and he just in the background, he's like,
it's like sounds like a dog with like Tourette's and Asperger's or something. I don't understand.
And he's just repeating dialogue that like from the Dark Knight, like the Heath Ledger. He's like, you see, Batman, we need each other.
That's the problem, is that Heath Ledger, you know, I said this during our Nolan episode, is that the whole Heath Ledger Joker, it's the best thing that has ever happened in a Nolan movie ever. Yeah. And it's also the best because Heath Ledger is one of the greatest actors of all time. Of course it's going to be good. He made that entire film. He put that entire film on his back and made it watchable. And ever since then, that's the entire reason why we have so much Joker, is because of how good he played the Joker and how good that character was, is that you just have people thinking that they can just emulate that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. It's not the same. It's never going to be the same. And I actually love that. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love how every single iteration of the Joker after that is just dog shit.
Yeah, it's just become this thing where everybody gets super excited when the Joker appears
because they think that that's what they're going to get. They think they're going to get the Heath Ledger Joker again, and it's not going to happen.
They think they're going to get this profound villainy. And, you know, and even more so because we had the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that came out, which was...
the Joker, baby.
Which was, to be fair, a really great performance because Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor.
Yeah, and he's going to do a good job.
You throw him any role, he's going to kill it. But unfortunately, it's all surrounded by this very mediocre Todd Phillips movie.
Yeah.
So there's this level of disconnect when I watched it. I'm like, well, Joaquin Phoenix is really good in this, but this movie's kind of lame.
It sucks that you don't care.
I don't know why everybody loves it so much.
It sucks that you don't care about anything that happens in it.
So yeah, we get this dream sequence that goes on for about 10 or 15 minutes, and they talk about literally nothing.
Oh no, it's like it's so weird. Like I was like turning to you because I was like, is this like something that was in the earlier movies? Like, was this a thing? Like, is this a continuation of another kind of after credits plot that they've been doing?
They even hyped up this scene in the trailer for the Snyder Cut by showing a portion of this scene because people were like, oh, people are going to want to see the Joker. That's going to get everybody to fucking blow their wad on this. And they even had a line in the trailer, which is not in this, which I thought was interesting, where they actually have the Joker say, we live in a society, which has become this sort of meme. About
we live in a society.
Yes. this says a lot about society and so on.
Right.
But that's pretty much the movie.
Good God.
Whew.
Yeah. I'm really glad to have this out of my brain.
Yeah.
You know, I was really sick last week. So, I mean, I was, I thought I was dying. No COVID, totally fine. It turned out to be a sinus infection. But, you know, as I was sitting there feeling like my brain was cooking inside my own head for about a week, I had to think about the fucking Snyder Cut, and it didn't help. I feel like I was sick longer.
Yeah.
I feel like I was sick longer thinking about this. I think it added like 2 or 3 days of me having to chug Dayquil.
Well, there's something to be said about your what's going on mentally can affect you physically when you're sick, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like all your defenses are down.
Yeah.
You know, all your immune system's lower. You know, you're trying to fight off an infection or something, and whatever stress you got going on just doesn't help.
You know, when you are confronted with something to think about which contains no real laughter or real levity to it, it's really hard to cope. You know, like Patch Adams.
Well, I watched Kong
laughter
versus
is the best
Godzilla,
medicine.
and that kind of washed the
Sure.
bad taste out of my mouth, because, you know, it's like, this is how you make a good bad action movie.
There was actually a period of time after watching this this Justice League Snyder Cut where I was just like, do I just not like movies? Is there just something in me that's just, I feel like
Are you like so jaded that you just can't even enjoy stuff that's supposed to be bad and
it was
fun?
it was a certain level of frustration where I was just thinking, there's so many people who are getting so much out of this movie, and I'm
so
not.
much joy and just really, like, you know, like, for example, the fans of this movie, like, literally brought it into reality, brought it into existence. Justice League came out and they found out that that Zack Snyder wanted to do something else, and so they essentially petitioned the studio to release it, and they made it happen. So, like, hats off to them. They pestered and complained and sat on hold and protested until they got what they wanted. It's great how, like, you know, you can protest to get a shitty movie put out, but you can't protest to get police to stop shooting people.
Right.
Huh. I guess we live in a society.
Or for people to have more job security or better wages.
You can't get that through a protest, but you can get some, like, you know, capsule of liquid diarrhea shot out from the back of a 10-year-old with Asperger's.
You can get a pointless piece of pop culture fiction to get made in a slightly better way than it was before. With a fresh coat of paint.
I will say, from what I have seen from the Joss Whedon cut, this is a better movie.
Yeah, and, you know...
Because the other one, like, at least Steppenwolf looks better in this. Because, holy shit, man, he looks like a fucking... The other one looks like a Power Rangers episode. He looks like a villain. Like, he looks like he should be standing next to Rita Repulsa.
I could totally see that.
Like, it looks so bad. It's just a dude in a really bad costume.
Right. And, you know, despite all my misgivings, all of our misgivings about this film in general... I kind of find myself rooting for this film's existence.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Sure, absolutely, because it's one of those things where it's just another nail in the coffin.
And it's just kind of funny that you mentioned Kong vs. Godzilla, because I really enjoyed that too, and it kind of made me realize, oh yeah, I can still enjoy movies.
Yeah,
and
it's a perfect, like, turn off your brain, just have a fun time. Like, I felt the same way about the previous Godzilla movie that came out. You know, it's like, that's how you do it. I thought it was very interesting how you know, a movie that is entirely marketed towards China, they chose Hong Kong as a place that they're going to destroy. That was funny. But that was real obvious there.
I feel like with the Godzilla, King Kong, that whole monsterverse or whatever they call it, I feel like that was done right, because
it's a lot more fun than whatever this horse shit is.
I enjoyed all the movies, but I also like how you get, like, a little bit of a break in between each one.
Yeah.
It would be a lot different if we were just getting nonstop Godzilla, King Kong movies coming out every year.
It would ruin.
We have a Disney Plus show about
We've had,
Kong.
like, what?
We got
3, if you count Kong Skull Island. I think we've had, like, 3
There's
movies.
been 4 movies since 2014, so there's, like, 2 years in between each one.
Right. Okay. Because there was a. Oh yeah, because there was a King Kong standalone, Godzilla standalone, then Godzilla versus all the monsters, and then this one.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That's fine. That's fine. It makes perfect sense. He gets his own. He gets his own. There's one where they all fight, and then there's one where these two fight.
Yeah.
Great.
And I just find it kind of funny because one thing I was thinking about, this is kind of how I want to close this out, is the implication of giving the fans what they want. And are we going to get more stuff like this? And is that
probably
a good idea? Because
no.
there's actually a petition. It's so funny. There's actually, speaking of Godzilla versus Kong, there's actually like an online movement now to get a director's like unedited cut of that movie, because I guess the director of that movie was saying that a lot of stuff he shot for this was cut. Because
that's completely manufactured.
Because the studio...
It's all because of this. It's all because of the Snyder cut. This is going to happen so many times because now it's like, oh, we can release a movie, right? Make a bunch of money off of it. And then just like put it out there that there's this other one. And you can get all these fucking man children and all these fucking horrible douchebags to go online and like literally take time out of their life to write a fucking tweet while taking a shit about how they want this other movie to come out, eventually get it come out, buy another ticket to see the new one, which is the exact same movie, but just slightly different, and they can make all their money all over again. It's perfect. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like right now. So like there's supposed to be a new Battlefield game coming out sometime next year. And like every single time there's a new big video game, there's always like, oh, today there's a leak. There's a leak. And it's detailing about what all of the maps are going to look like and what, oh, like this is a gun from the game and blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's no fucking leaks. This is a marketing ploy. All it is marketing. All it is like enticing people to think that this is such a huge, crazy project that there's leaks about it and, oh, there's somebody on the inside feeding information. Like, no, there's not. The studio is specifically doing this.
Well, because all the geeks are these, they're these little piggies and they want their slop. They want their slop just fed to them constantly.
Bucket of fucking garbage poured out onto the ground.
And they'll just keep eating it up.
Yeah, it's disgusting, really. They're disgusting people.
One thing I will say about this movie, at least that's a positive thing, is like this is it. There's not going to be any more Justice League.
I thought it was a fitting end of them all standing there on top of the thing, like the dumbest shot I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Of just like. It was weird. It was like they all just like stood there in a line, like they were posing in front of a fucking Comic-Con thing. Mm-hmm. Like there's like that banner that has all like the Comic-Con logo written like a million times on like the red carpet or something. It's like they're all standing in front of it, getting their picture taken. They're standing. It's just like it looked like a cast photo on top of the fucking reactor. That's how he decided to end his movie. It was the dumbest fucking thing.
Yeah, it looked like an Alex Ross painting.
It was so childish.
Yeah, just hero shots.
It was so childish. It's like a child standing all of his action figures up on the side of the bathtub. It was just it's a fucking 5-year-old.
But look, that's what the fans wanted, and now they got it, and now I kind of like how the fans don't really know what to do anymore.
No, I want to encourage them. I want them to continue to do this. I think this is funny.
Yeah. It's like, oh, shoot, we're not used to getting what we want.
Yeah.
Now that we got what we want.
Let's get a director's cut of Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Let's get
That's what we need.
Yeah, let's get a director's cut of the Black Widow movie.
That still hasn't come out.
Oh, well, let's get the director's cut first.
Right. Yeah, let's release 2 versions of it.
There you go.
At the same time.
There you go. You got to see both because there's one scene that's different. And you got to find which one it is, but you got to pay for full price for both movies.
Which one has...
I wish I was an executive.
Yeah.
I wish I was. It would be so easy. It's the easiest job. Are you kidding me? The bar is so low.
Dude, all you gotta do is like look at stuff and figure out how to add synergy to it and how to Rostify things by 25% or so.
Yeah, teamicize it.
I feel like we should put him more of a surfer kind of context.
Yeah, 10% more surfer. Yeah,
more attitude.
All right, I think that's gonna do it for here for us.
For here.
Inside this studio.
Is that our podcast studio?
Inside of our King Ghidorah skull.
Oh, yeah.
That we're
Instead of our King Ghidorah skull / Bat Cave
/ Bat Cave that we're recording
/ Mother Base.
Yeah, you can find us on Spotify. We got a YouTube channel going right now. We are on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts as well, I believe.
Yes.
If you want to write into us, go ahead, hit us up. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, that would be at Hacksaw Podcast at gmail.com. So thanks for listening to us. We hope to do, we're going to do more episodes very soon. Probably some more special episodes as well, like this one.
Okay, I think in like every other one or so, we'll try to do something that's like current right now, something that's in vogue.
Yeah, we've got to see what's happening, what's happening in the streets.
What's going down in the underground. Manchester. We got to watch Jason Statham's new movie.
Oh yeah, Wrath of Man.
Absolutely.
Reunited with Guy Ritchie again.
Dude, that's gonna rule. Anyways, you guys have a good one.
Yep, see you next time.